Hello guys, and welcome to Java user login system tutorial series. This tutorial series was requested by one of my subscribed user called EddieSunny5. So what we will do in this series is we will create a frame which will have username and password and a login button, and when we click the login button it will check if the user exists on our database. So we will develop a database connection in this system as well. So the database we will be using is MS Access database. So let's get started. First of all, create a MS Access database. I've already created one, DB1. I've already created. Go ahead and create a MS Access database, and in MS Access database create a table in design view. Okay, and here in this table your table should have two fields, user and path. Okay, both data types are text. So let's save this table, table 2. My table name is table 2. So be careful with the table name because you need to remember it, because when you will be connecting to this table you need to remember the table name. So here's my table, user and path. I will enter some dummy records. Okay, so I will enter Steve, path will be Steve123, then Simon 123, and then I will enter Steve again. Why I'm entering same record twice? Because I will teach you in this tutorial series that if a user registered twice, like if the user is duplicated on the database, we won't give access to our system. So any duplicate user won't have access to our system. Only user which is registered once will have access to our system. So save this table. So now our table have 3 records. Cool. And close your database. Now database is created. We need to configure our database in control panel. If we do not configure our database, we won't be able to connect in Java. So how to configure the database? Go to start menu, click on control panel, and in the control panel go to administrative tools, and in administrative tools click on data sources ODBC. We will add our database here. So my database is, and then it will open a dialog box, or go to system DNS, and my database is already added, as you can see here, DB1. And how you can add your database is click on this add button, and from the drivers this will give you a list of drivers. So as we are using an Access database, we will select Microsoft Access drivers.mdb. Okay, so click finish, and then it will open another dialog box, and from that dialog box click on select, and from here select your database wherever you saved in your file system on your Windows or whatever operating system you are using. Select your database and click OK, and then name your database whatever you want to name it and hit OK. When you hit OK, it will add your database here in system DNS. So once you have added your database in system DNS, we are ready to code in Java. So I've already created a class project in Java, and my class name is login. So let's get started. So first create a database, create a table, add few dummy records, and then configure your database in control panel, and then you are ready to code. So before we get started, we will import 3 libraries in Java. So import javax.swing.static. We need this swing library because we will be creating a frame. Then import java.awt.event.static. We require this library because we will be writing action listeners. And third library is java.sql.static. Why we require SQL? Because we need to connect to our database and we need to write few SQL queries. So inside your class we will declare 3 instance variable. First will be connection. I will name a variable okay, connection variable, and then statement variable st, and result set variable rs. So okay, we created our 3 variables. Now we will create a constructor for our class. Public name of the class, login, parentheses, open curly brackets and closing curly brackets. Now within our constructor we will call two methods. One method, first method will be connect, and in this method we will write our connection to our database. Okay, and the second method is frame, and the frame method will contain our frame, our graphical user interface for our user login system. So create these two methods in call these two methods in constructor, and then after the constructor we will create these two methods. So public void connect, opening curly bracket and closing curly brackets, and after the connect create another method, public void frame, opening curly bracket and closing curly bracket. Now we created our two methods. So first of all we'll get into our connect method and we will write the code to connect to our database. So how to connect to your database? So first of all, inside your connect method create a variable, string type variable. I will name it driver. This will contain our drivers. So within quotation marks we will write the drivers. So the driver we need to load to connect to our access database is JDBC ODBC driver. So what are the drivers name is sun.jdbc.odbc, all in small caps up until here. Then JDBC ODBC driver. So each letter of the word is in capital, J in capital, O in capital, and D in capital. Okay, type as it is, otherwise you won't be able to load your driver. So once you declare your driver, you need to load your driver. So how to load a driver? Class dot for name, then as argument give a string variable driver which holds our driver. So okay, so write everything in between try and catch block. Okay, so our driver is loaded, and then we need to create another string variable which will contain URL to our database. So how to give a URL to database is JDBC colon ODBC colon and the name of your database. My database name is DB1. Whatever you name your database, you need to write here. Okay, JDBC colon ODBC colon name of the database. Now we will connect to our database using our connection variable con equal to driver manager dot get connection, and as a argument to this method get connection we will give db, which is a string variable which holds our database URL. So this will get a connection to our database. Now we will create a statement. So what does a statement do? Statement, our name of the variable for statement is st. Statement equal to con dot create statement. Okay, so what does this do is create a statement so we can access the table inside our database. So up until here we created a connection to our database. So let's run it. If it says successful, that means there are no errors. Build successful. Okay, so there are no errors in our database. So we created a connection to our database. Now what we will do is we will create a frame for our database. So to create a frame, go back up, we will create as instance variables. Okay, so we have access in our full program. So for frame we need two labels which will contain username and password, and we need two text fields where we can enter our username and password, and one button called login. When we hit that button, it will verify whether the user exists on the database or no. So first of all we will create two labels. J label. Okay, before we create any label we need to declare a frame. J frame f is equal to new J frame. Okay, so I will this frame title would be user login. Okay, So then we'll create two labels. JLabel L is equal to new JLabel, and this JLabel will have username. Okay, and then another label, JLabel L1 is equal to new JLabel, and this label will have password. Okay, and then we will create two text fields where we can enter our username and password. So J text field, T is equal to new J text field, and I will set the size to 10. Okay, then another J text field, T1 is equal to new J text field. In this T1 we will enter our password. In T text field we will enter username, and T1 we will enter password. So then we need to have another one button, J button, B is equal to new J button, and this button will have only login. The value of the button will be login. Okay, so we created frame, two labels, two text fields, and one button. I think that's all we require. So get down to your frame method, and within frame method we will create our frame. So frame variable is f. The set size, we'll set the size to 600 by 400. Okay, f dot set default close operation jframe dot exit and close. This will close our frame when we hit the close button. F dot set visible to true. We will set our frame visible. Okay, now frame is created. We will create a panel. J panel P is equal to new J panel. Okay, so now on this panel we will add our text fields and labels, text field and button. So P dot add L, which is our first label, and then P dot add our text field, first text field where we will enter our username, and then P dot add second label which has password, and then P dot add second text field T1, and then P dot add, we will add our button B, which we named B. Okay, now after we adding all the button and label on our panel, we will add this panel on our frame. So F dot add P. F is our frame, P is our panel. So F dot add P will add our panel on our frame. So now if we run our program, before running we will create object of our program, new login. Login is the name of our class, and two parentheses which will call a constructor. So new login will create our new object of our class. So when we run it, it should create a frame with buttons and labels on it. So here you go. Here's our frame. Title is user login, username, password, and when we hit the login button, nothing happens because we did not write anything for our login button yet. So when we hit the login button, we will create action listener for our login button. So it will verify whether user exists and whether we enter something in our username and password text fields. And if the user exists, it will show a message that access granted. If user doesn't exist, it will say invalid username. And if user is duplicated, if same user is registered twice on database, it will give us a message that duplicate user access not allowed. So that's it for this tutorial. In the second video of this tutorial, we will write code to verify, to check whether user exists on our system or no. So up until here, if you have any problem, please do send me an email, and hopefully you understand something from this video. So thanks for watching, and please rate, comment and subscribe, and see you in the second video.